City of Marlborough Conservation Commission. This is April 9th, 2020. Participation will be via virtual means only. This is pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order superseding certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Marlborough Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. The public may participate in this meeting via remote participation. A link to the website for the meeting will be provided on the Conservation Commission agenda sheet, posted on the city's website, on the city calendar, and on the Conservation Commission website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. To access the city website, go to www.marlborough-ma.gov/ and choose calendar and click on April 9th meeting date. Okay, the first item on the agenda is a request for a determination of applicability. This is for
Ed, can you see the agenda on your screen?
No, I just have no.
Okay, let me make sure. Let me make sure I'm sharing it.
I have a copy of the agenda in front of me.
No, I'm gonna put it up. Can you see it now? Give it a second.
Yeah, it's coming up now.
Okay.
Okay, it's there.
Okay. So go ahead.
Okay, the first on the agenda is a public hearing. This is.
Oh, we should do a roll call. Ed, can we just do a roll call to make sure everybody's here?
First of all, I'll call the roll.
Oh, wait. We have to unmute. Everybody has to, all the commission members can unmute yourself. So just wave when the bar comes on the screen, just
look at the little microphone. The little microphone and click on it. Okay, first, Dennis Demers.
He's still muted.
Dennis Demers.
Needs to unmute yourself, Dennis.
See, move your cursor up onto the screen. See the little in the taskbar across. See the little microphone. Click on that. Can you get it?
Dennis, can you hear us?
John Scarron.
Here.
Dave Williams.
Here.
Aaron Paquin.
Here.
Bill Dunbar.
Here.
Ed Clancy. Here. And Alan White is absent this evening. Dennis Demers.
You can unmute yourself again, Dennis. You did it once. Try it again.
There you go.
Now say something.
Yeah, am I there?
Yes,
you are here. Okay.
Okay. First item on the agenda is a public hearing. This is a request for determination of applicability for 19 Forestry. Elan Walsh High Ground Education. A proposal to convert a section of each existing parking areas to a playground. The parking conversion consists of placing soil with drainage and turn over the asphalt surface. Fencing and playground structures will be installed at each playground. Portions of the existing building and the parking areas lie within the 100-foot wetland buffer. Anyone here to speak in the matter?
So Elan Walsh and I think Brian Keene are both present, so you both can unmute yourself, and if you want to be seen, you can make yourself visible as well. And everyone else, if you want to just video yourself so that they can be seen. And I can take down the agenda. I can also, you can tell me, I have your plans that you sent me, so I have them here on the screen. Can you see the screen, Ed?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So Elan or Brian?
Yeah, Brian's here.
Hi,
Okay.
Hi. This is Elan. I'm with Higher Ground Education. We're the school operator. I'll let Brian talk about the specific design aspects and, you know, how we're building it with the gravel and filter fabric and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're basically converting parts of the playground into, or sorry, parts of the parking lot into playground. So maybe Brian, go ahead. You can talk about the nuts and bolts of it a little bit more eloquently.
Sure. I do want to make sure everybody's aware that we're not removing asphalt, we're just covering it. So just to make that point. So the intent is to take portions of these playgrounds, all outside the 50-foot buffer, but within the 100-foot buffer zone, and to transform those using gravel as a drainage base with soil and grass. And then the border itself will be a new curb, which will be basically cut into the existing asphalt. And there will be fencing, and there will also be some playground structures which will be anchored to the asphalt itself. And the other piece that we're doing is we will be doing some saw cutting of the curb. I don't know if you can see playground B. It's identified as number 12.
I have a
And what
big
we're doing-
cursor, that's B is here.
Correct,
Yep.
and you can see 12 there near the, basically you can see there's some gravel indicated there, or stone. Yeah, that's actually going to be a basin that's existing. So the intent is to do a curb cut and then put some riprap to help protect that slope so that stormwater can go from the new outlined parking lot into that basin. And that's what we're doing for this project.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Now, you said you're not going to be removing any of the asphalt?
Except for we're putting in the curb. So there will be a linear cut where we install the curb itself.
Okay. Now, the only curbing that you're going to put in is across the present parking lot. It's not going to be encompassing the whole playground, is it?
No, not the concrete curbing, it will not.
No. Okay. So in other words, now how deep is that going to be?
3 inch of drainage layer and 3 inches soil. Now,
3 inches
what'll
of
happen
soil.
is when it'll actually be a little bit higher where the curb is installed, so that you can have a little bit more surface coming from where the curb is installed to the playground itself.
Okay. So now your playground is you're going to have 3 inches of gravel, and then you're going to put something soft on top, such as, are you going to put like wood chips or something like that?
Well, primarily it's just going to be soil with grass. And what they do within the playground itself, they may put a temporary garden type barrier where they may put in mulch or some kind of playground mulch just in and around the structures itself.
I can respond to that. It's not part of this
Okay.
permit, but when with play equipment, we have play equipment planned for each of those areas. The playground installer would put on top of the layers that we're talking about now wood chips, which is what they call fall zone or safety zone for the play equipment, and it has to be 6 foot surrounding the barrier of the play structure itself, and that would go on top of what we're talking about here and held in place with these little, they're like logs, a log border. So that would be built on top, the fall zone, the wood chips.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you sure that you say you're going to grow grass on top of this?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you going to put turf in, or are you going to try to put loam and seed?
We haven't
The
determined
original-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
See, the whole question I have is that if you're going to put loam on top of it and then seed it, you're going to need to put in erosion control devices.
Yes, we're aware of that. We have an erosion control plan already submitted to the city.
Is it part of this?
Yeah, let me see if it's in this.
I'll just say, like, if that's an issue, like, we typically don't sit around and wait for the growth. We usually want the grass pretty fast. So turf is probably the answer. We're not going to wait for seed to take it. We're not very kind. The kids running around are not very kind to,
Yeah,
new grass trying to grow. So we typically install turf.
okay, so in other words, it's gonna be regular turf, grass-growing turf, not synthetic.
Oh, no, definitely not synthetic. It'll be real grass.
Okay, so my main concern is that, in that period of time, when you're putting down the topsoil and then also before the turf arrives, you definitely have to have something that's gonna hold back the soil. Now, you're gonna put it around obviously you're gonna have to put it around the curbing there.
What about if we just, we don't put the dirt? So first goes the curb, and then goes the gravel, and then goes the filter fabric, and then goes the dirt, right? Or the soil.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
grass grows on top of that. What if we just don't put the dirt until we're actually putting the grass? Like, it has to go at the same time. We don't,
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't want the dirt to sit out there for
Yeah.
any period of time before the grass gets, that's what I'm hearing. I don't see that as a problem. We just have to make sure that's actually
Well,
the
Well,
case.
Elon, this is Priscilla. Elon, I think the key is, it's just a little bit of erosion control right along the edge there. So where my cursor is going on the plans. So it's just during your construction, it just sort of protects you and it protects us, the wetlands too. So it's not like we have to encompass the whole thing. It's just that little area to make sure that it doesn't wash out if there's a rain
Yeah.
event. It helps you, it saves your soil, and it helps us to just
Right.
protect that. So
I think we can do both. I'm not opposed, obviously.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
erosion control is necessary on every project.
Yep, yep.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
So, and it doesn't have to be there very long. It can come out as soon as the turf's down. So it's really a short-lived thing.
Are you gonna put erosion controlled fabric in between the loam and the gravel?
Yes.
Yes.
What is it? Is it a impervious barrier or?
No.
Oh.
No, it's got to be a
No.
filter fabric.
Oh, it has to
water
go
goes
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, the thing, what do you normally use? I've never seen this before.
Yeah, it's the same thing you'd use for a French drain or a trench drain that you line it with. It's just the fabric that keeps the fines out and allows water to transfer.
Okay,
Yeah, it's pretty common stuff.
yeah. Well, I know that we have the erosion control barrier that you put up like silt fence. So it obviously must be like silt fence.
Yes, but it wouldn't be quite as limiting as far as flow is concerned.
Yeah. Does that pass muster, Priscilla?
It does, and Tom DePercio looked at this too. Our biggest concern in the beginning was that we wanted to make sure it drained and didn't become just this place that collected water and then just made that whole place spongy. So they've convinced us that with the stone underneath and the drainage that's there, that should not be the case. So I think we're happy with that.
Also, you're gonna have a riprap apron that goes off toward the wetland. What does that, what is it? Is it stone or carving stone?
Yeah, it'll be stone, and it's actually going into an existing basin. So that basin already collects all the storm water for that area.
Yeah, that was
And
installed.
by the way,
Yeah,
and I would like to suggest that for the perimeter controls, for the erosion control, that you use compost filter stock, since it causes the least amount of damage and it actually can be reused and/or. Sorry.
is there a guardrail around that?
No, there's not.
There's a fenced, Ed, I don't know if you're seeing the fenced in line. You can tell me what you're looking at and I can try to use the cursor to show you. So this is a fence line that goes all around the playground.
Yeah.
This area in here is existing lawn. So this
Yeah.
will just sort of be continuing an existing lawn.
Okay, so you're gonna go all the way down, yeah. Now,
So
see,
this is a fence. This
That's a
black
fence.
line.
like a chain link? That's existing?
No,
That exists?
No, proposed.
Okay. So he's gonna put it right in on the 20-foot no disturbs.
It's a
line.
50-foot, that's a 50-foot.
That's the 50-foot, okay, in the water supply protection district, no.
Right.
Okay, I don't know, any of the questions, other members of the committee?
Yes, this is Karen. On playground A, what's the closest point to the 50-foot no disturb?
Is it possible to blow
Looks-
that up a little bit?
I believe my cursor's on the 50-foot right here.
Yep.
Am I right, Brian?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, the fence would be the only thing on that border, but you can see where our playground is. It's actually at the curb line. We have not gone beyond the curb line,
Oh,
playground A, so it exists right now that way.
And Karen, there's actually a stone wall right here.
Yeah.
They'll put the fence just above the stone wall.
oh, good. Okay.
Yep.
This is John. I have a question. How are you going to irrigate this lawn area? Is it have a sprinkler system, or are you? I mean, how are you going to keep it alive?
Well, initially, they're going to have, the contractor will have responsibility of making sure the grass actually starts to grow. And they'll probably have a warranty period on that, but there's no sprinkler system on this site that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I just see a problem with growing grass in a parking lot. I know you have a cover, but you still have the pavement underneath, and there's no natural groundwater going to get to this. So I don't see. I guess I'm concerned on how you're going to keep this alive and not have it deteriorate. I've
Yeah,
never
Brian, I'm open to tapping into and irrigating. I've actually talked to the contractor a little bit about that. So I think that's just
Okay.
a detail that we hadn't really thought about.
So
And
this is,
Elon, this is Priscilla. I believe that place had irrigation when we reviewed it when it was first built, but I'm not sure. I thought it was
Yeah,
irrigated.
there's landscape around the perimeter of the
Yeah.
building. So
Yeah.
I'm certainly open to to tying into the existing irrigation system.
I mean, I don't think that's an issue with other than the fact that if it dies, it's going to be just a bare dirt again. So
Yeah,
I
we
think
don't want that.
anything you can do to irrigate that would be good, because there's that asphalt's going to be a barrier underneath too. So
Yeah,
That's-
it's a good
that-
point.
This is Bill, and I had a note about sodding it rather than seeding it. And secondly, the heat generated from that asphalt under the 3-inch of gravel and the 3-inch of loam, is that not going to be detrimental to the growth of the grass? The heat-
Well, you have to remember that the heat in the asphalt comes from the sun, and it's going to be covered, so you're actually not going to have that issue.
this area is going to be covered?
No, the grass will
Well-
cover it, Bill. The grass
Yeah.
becomes a shade for the asphalt, so therefore the asphalt can't get hot.
Maybe.
I
That
don't know
would be my
about that.
concern, that maybe you would need more than 3 inches and 3 inches to dissipate that heat coming back up.
The asphalt's going to be as cold as the dirt that it's sitting on.
Well,
yeah, it would tend to creep in from the edges, but it would. You have a curbing that's cut into the edge, so that may help it. So I agree.
Ed, can I speak up, or am I there on here? Dennis speaking.
Yep, Dennis, go ahead.
I have one question I do have. You show a profile of the plan along with this chain link fence you're going to put up. Are you going to adhere to that strictly?
I don't understand.
Well, the question being is because you're using treated lumber around the outer edge.
Oh, no. It will be, yeah, no, I don't want to overpromise here, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to have wrought iron or something a little nicer looking if we can afford it. But we don't have good luck with wood fencings. They don't last very long.
Well,
in my opinion.
I'm not talking about the fencing per se. The fencing I understand being chain link, but I'm looking at the stacking two wooden timbers on top of each other to act as a curbing. And the way you have this laid out presently right now, which is fine because the fence is going to be inside. The biggest thing I don't want is that treated lumber in the playground area, because kids slivers and treated, you're using, you have wood that's got all sorts of chemicals in it. Kids are going to play by the fence. They'll get wooden slivers. So I'm saying you have a plan on your profile here showing wood and the fence inside of it. So therefore the kids cannot get near it. That's my question. Are we going to adhere to that? It's up in the left-hand corner right there, their profile, what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't.
Okay, I'm just asking that, that's all. If it's going to happen, that's the way it's going to be.
Well, I'm hoping the contractor builds it the way it's shown. We'll if they don't, they're gonna have to fix it.
Right. No, I'm just saying, because that's treated wood. Either that, or if you're not going to do it like that, you'd have to put other than that treated wood there. That's all.
Yeah. I don't have any intention of having the contractor build it any other way that's shown on the drawing.
Okay. Okay.
Other than like I said, the chain link, it looks okay, but if we can afford it, I think we're going to make it a little nicer.
That's fine.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? I don't know if there's anybody that has joined us remotely. If they have any questions, I'd ask them to be heard right now.
If you want to speak, you need to unmute yourself. If you're on the phone, it's *6. And if you're on the computer, you just can wave your wand across get the toolbar there, and then unmute yourself on the thing that looks like a little microphone. I don't see anybody unmuted.
Anybody else? Okay. Is there any other questions, members of the commission? Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, declare the public hearing closed.
Wait, Ed,
Oh, wait a minute.
one second.
What?
Only because we have not heard back from DP how we're supposed to make a vote and sign a document, because we're all working remotely and we're not gathering. We are waiting to hear back from them. There may be a provision that next week you would authorize me to record your votes and then sign a document saying, you know, the signatures aren't available. There are some registries that are allowing for electronic signatures, but we're still waiting to hear what that is. So I guess my question for tonight is whether, if we close the hearing, we have 21 days in which to issue, and I guess we could sign it at the next meeting and figure that out. So perhaps that's okay. So we can close the hearing, and and then I can draft some conditions for the next meeting, and then we hopefully will have resolved how we're supposed to sign these things.
Okay, because this being a determination of applicability, we can, the best thing that he could be looking for is a negative determination anyways.
Correct.
So that would, he would not have to file a notice of intent. Okay, so that he understands it. Do you understand that, Alan?
I don't. That's part of my question is what, our drawings, our permit drawings they're approved. But I think we have to get past this process to get a building permit. So I'm a little unsure how that works.
So the only drawback right now is we're not quite sure how we're supposed to sign these documents because we're remote. So we're gonna figure that out. We can close the hearing and vote on it, and I can worry about that. And then it may be a couple of days or two or more before we can actually get the signatures for you.
Yeah, because there's no actual way for us to go in and sign the signature sheet unless we have somebody driving around town going to our homes at this point.
Which is an option, I guess. We'll slide it under your door.
I understand.
Then stand on the outside while we slide it back.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is feasible, but we use oftentimes DocuSign or Sign Now, which are legal binding electronic signatures. software. They're very user friendly. I like DocuSign a lot, actually.
Yeah. So as far as a determination, it doesn't have to get registered, registry of deeds. It's a notice of intent that does. So we'll figure out what that legal piece is, and then we'll make a vote tonight, and that'll be recorded virtually anyway, and then we will figure out the signature piece after.
Okay. So in other words, what it is, we're going to close the public hearing, and then I'm going to ask for
Roll call.
Is there a, well, first of all, we have to have a,
So it could be a negative determination with conditions, and the conditions I've heard is to put erosion controls up, to make sure that the fencing is built according to the design, so that the pressure treated is outside of the fence. And then the other standard conditions of a pre-construction meeting, and just making sure that they keep the site clean while they're in construction.
okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion.
I
I'll make
move.
a motion for negative determination.
A motion is
Second.
made and seconded for a negative determination. Commissioner Scarron has so noted. Okay, so motion is made and seconded for a negative determination, which is good. It's actually good because it says you don't have to file a notice of intent. So I'll call the roll. Unmute yourself. First is Councilor Demers.
Aye, yes, okay.
Yes. Councilor White is absent. Commissioner Scarron,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Paquin,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunbar,
Yes.
and Commissioner Clancy, yes. Okay, so you actually, you have six votes out of, so that is a negative determination.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Elon.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Brian and
guys.
Elin.
Thank you.
Take
Okay.
care. Stay safe.
Hey, is Tom
Tom
yeah.
DePercio, let me see if he's here. He was asking me, his meeting was running late as well.
Okay,
I don't believe he's here yet.
okay.
So
Should
we
I
can,
hang up now? Sorry.
yes, go ahead.
Should I hang up now?
Yes,
Yeah,
you may
you're
hang up.
awesome.
You may
Okay.
hang up.
I know.
You're
Take care,
done. You may be excused.
guys.
Okay, I'm gonna go on to the next one, which is the reconstruction of
Highway.
20 Mass Highway. Is
Brian,
Mass-
is now
Mass-
exiting.
Is Mass Highway here?
Yes,
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Sue MacArthur and Steve Tyler are both here, and I believe I have your, whoops, hold on, let me open up some other plans here. Do you see Mass Highway plans on your screen?
yes, look on that.
Okay. All right, so Steve and Sue, go ahead and you can introduce yourselves, and then you guys
gotta-
can speak.
Yeah,
You got, somebody's got to click.
plans
Yeah.
aren't on the screen yet, Priscilla.
Plans aren't there. You have to click.
Oh, okay, let me try this again. Sometimes I don't know quite, I have to do it twice, but
I mean, while you're doing that, I can start. Hi, it's Susan
Okay,
McCarthy.
first of all, I got to call the meeting to order.
Sorry.
This is a notice of intent, this is for Route 20, reconstruction of the Peters Ave to Marlborough Sudbury Town Line. Reconstruction of, from Peters Ave to Marlborough Town Line. This is under Mass DOT. You're proposing to reconstruct Route 20 from Peters Ave. That's the third time it's, the highway will replace deteriorated pavement structures, widen the travelway to safe and acceptable lane and shoulder widths, adding new sidewalks and providing upgrades to the existing drainage system. Several sections of this work are within the buffer zone to the wetlands. And here to speak on the matter.
Hi there, this is Susan McCarthy from Mass DOT, and I'm here with Steve Tyler from Howard Stein Hudson, who's our consultant. And I don't know if Scott Morrison is on the line, but if he's with Ecotech, he did the wildlife habitat evaluation. He was going to join us as well tonight. But as Ed had said, we are proposing to reconstruct Route 20 Boston Post Road for about 2.5 miles from the Sudbury Town line to just west of Peters Avenue. This is a limited project as it involves maintenance and improvement of existing public roadways, limited to widening less than a single lane. And as in doing this project, we are within the 100-foot buffer zone to BBW. We will be impacting some bank, riverfront area, bordering land subject to flooding. We have the whole gamut here, but I'm going to turn it over to Steve Tyler to take it away. Go ahead, Steve. Steve, you there?
Steve, you might have to unmute yourself, perhaps.
Hey, Priscilla,
here.
Priscilla, can you broaden that out to full screen?
It's okay. I thought it was full screen, but let me see if I can.
Not going all the way across mine.
Huh.
Can you hit the plus sign?
So you should be able to hit F11 as well.
F11. F11.
You'll need to have your mouse in between the area that's being broadcast.
Okay. So that's what's being broadcast. I do F11.
Does that change it? No, if it doesn't, it doesn't. We can work without it. I still have my set of plans sitting beside me.
I don't know, Scott. I don't know how to. If you
Yeah,
can
okay.
access my computer, go ahead. Anyway, so I have it full screen, so I don't know how to. I can zoom in. Do you see it when I zoom in?
Yeah, but it goes. Yeah, no,
Okay.
don't do that.
Don't do
No,
that.
go
Don't
back.
do that.
Don't do
Okay.
that. Okay.
Okay.
Keep it at that. Keep it at that.
All right. Sorry about that.
Okay.
All right, did Steve get on the line? Steve
Oh,
Tyler?
now is that better? I
You
just
there?
did something. Steve, I know you were here for a while.
I think he's still there, but I can't hear him.
Let me see if I can see whether he's muted or unmuted. Steve Tyler, he is, you're muted, Steve. Please do *6 if you're on a phone. Steve Tyler. Calling for Steve Tyler. Let's see, can I chat with him? No. Whoops. Well, another glitch in our system.
Yeah.
So
So
he's
what's the
here.
other icon next to his name? It says muted and there's something else
So
next.
he was on a phone, so he was watching on TV on his computer, but he was on a phone because his phone line was a better reception than his computer was.
Oh, okay.
So he had done that. So Steve, I don't know if you're frozen on us or what. Steve Tyler. Sue, do you have can you text him by any chance?
I don't know that I know his number, actually.
And I don't know if,
We talked this morning. Let me see if I can find his.
or email him or something.
Yeah, I have to look it up I apologize about that.
It's okay. We're all learning this technology, so we'll figure it out.
While you guys are figuring that out, I think I'll have turn Bonanza on. Watch a few old movies here.
God, is there any way for us to chat with Steve? Scott?
Yeah, you can do the chat mode. There's a little chat box next to the members.
Yeah, and can I do a direct chat to him? Hello, who's here? Oh, Scott, no,
Still
that's,
muted.
So he
Pardon?
can press *6 if he's on the phone. Yes, Steve, we did mute everybody in the beginning, but you can actually unmute yourself by doing a mouse over in front of the video and then hitting the microphone button.
Steve Tyler, are you with us yet? Somebody's working on it.
He says he does not have the mic. Have a mic.
Oh, well, that's, can he
Well,
call us in? Can he call in that phone number?
Yeah, do you have the phone number he can call?
I can look it up.
Yeah, it should be in the calendar as well.
Yeah,
Unknown participant is now exiting.
so it should be 617. Wait, can he hear me? I don't know if he can hear me.
I have my text, so I'm gonna.
Okay,
617.
617-433-9462. And then he has to submit a conference number of 881-159.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Okay, maybe that's him. Let's see.
That was him going in and out, Priscilla, but he's
Okay,
still muted.
Steve, it looks like
now
you're
he's
in.
back.
Steve, are
Can
you
hear
in?
me?
We can.
Awesome.
Yay.
Phew.
Welcome, welcome.
Okay.
I
All
don't
right.
have a mute. I do not have a mute. Well,
You-
I have
You are
a-
not muted.
You were.
Put the cursor up on the screen
there.
and you'll get a taskbar.
Yeah, I know, but I don't have a microphone, and that microphone on the screen will not control my sound. The mute
No, correct.
happens on-
It just mutes you.
no, it doesn't, because I'm on the phone.
Yes, on the phone, it's the unmute is *6, but now you're here, so you may speak.
Just stay on the line.
Yes, so if you mute me again, I may have to call back again.
Okay, I won't mute you. Good to know. That's a good to know that can be a problem. So thank you. All right, you're on stage, Steve.
All right, so, yes, Howard, I'm Stephen Tyler with Howard Stein Hudson. I represent the designers for this project. As mentioned in the introduction, this project is the reconstruction of Route 20 from just west of Peters Avenue to the Sudbury Marlborough town line. The project includes traffic and safety improvements throughout the corridor. There is widening to provide sidewalks on both sides of the road throughout the corridor, and to also provide bicycle accommodations in both directions throughout the corridor. Other improvements include creating left turn pockets, left turn lanes, and other improvements to address the safety issues that presently exist. So to move through the plans, if you want to go ahead, you want me to just go ahead and move into and talk about where we have work
Yep.
within the buffer zone?
Yep. So do you want me just to look at the ones that are color coded that you gave me earlier today or yesterday?
Yes. So go,
I'll just keep scrolling. You can tell me when to stop.
Right. That is our first sheet, and that is in the area of, I just want to get to the same place. Make sure we're on the right sheet. Actually,
I think we're too far up. Right. I think we want to go higher, right? Like,
yep, you're 3 sheets in. Factory construction sheet 3 of 27.
okay, here we can start here, right?
Yep, so basically on the right-hand side of that sheet, that's the first area that lies within the buffer zone. You can see the wetland line in the upper right-hand corner. And then you can see the the proposed erosion control sediment barrier along the road at the edge of the slope limits. So the slope limits are between the erosion control barrier and the roadway work. The other bold line that you see outside of the erosion control, that's basically that's the temporary easement line that the contractor gets to give them room to be able to install the erosion control barriers. And you'll see a similar setup on the southern half of the road. Again, the BMT is just below the. That's fine. So on this sheet, it is all work within the buffer zone. So if we continue to the next sheet, the next sheet that will carry on from the left side of the sheet. So we're just looking at the left edge of that, and again, you can see that the work limits are back away from the wetlands. The temporary easement line basically is on the wetlands. You see on the north side of the road, you see the erosion control, and it stops where it hits the head wall. So you'll see the break in the erosion control barriers where the head wall is, and so that protects the wetlands. So there's a constant barrier along that side of the road, and similarly on the south side of the road.
And this is at Phelps Street. Yeah, and this is at Phelps Street, just so everybody has an orientation. There's a stream right next. It's Maury Brook, I believe.
Are you improving those two catch basins there?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Actually being they're replaced with deep sump catch basins, and that's basically what the improvement is at that location.
Right there.
They do some this area to see if we had an opportunity for dry wells, but the soils weren't able to accommodate that.
No. Okay.
Which sheet next, Steve?
8.
Where you're going, so on this sheet here, above Victoria, actually you can, at Victoria Lane, you can see the buffer zone is kind of on the north side of Route 20.
Mm-hmm.
With that.
On sheet 7 of 27, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so it shows that. Then the next is the work shown, which is 8 of 27, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. So that's the same wetland buffer zone line on the very left side of the sheet that appeared on the right side of sheet 7 of 27. The work in this area is primarily where you see where the cursor is now, and that is at the stream cross. That's the stream crossing. And you'll see a better presentation of this later where we have the direct impact within the wetlands. If it's okay with you, I think it's probably easier to talk about them in greater detail when we get to the colorized sheets.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I will say that location right there is the location of Broadmeadow Brook, and we'll revisit that in the sheets when we get a little further into the set. Does that sound okay to the commission?
Yep. Hey, I have a question on the south side. You know, right beside the big box storage place, there is a head wall there. Are you increasing the height of that right there?
I'm looking at it closely to see if we're putting in a new head wall.
Because the way it is right now, there's just hand-laid blocks on top of it with riprap behind it. The way it is right now.
Steve, it does say proposed saw cut retaining head wall.
That's a different head wall. He's talking about the head wall that comes from the storage area. I
Yeah, it's a south at the south side where the cursor
South
is.
side. That one right there, Priscilla. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the head wall where the drainage pipe comes out from the road?
Yeah, right, that head wall, yeah.
Oh, I'm incorrect. It says RETHDW, so that means retain head wall?
Yeah.
Is that what that
That's
little,
the culvert head wall. I think he's talking about the other head wall that comes out of the side.
No,
Just above where it is now, there's a head wall right there. Is that the actual cursor that head wall you're talking about?
that's the area that I'm talking about, but the way it is right now, if you go in there and take a look at it, they have like hand-laid blocks on top of it with riprap behind it, with small stone behind it. Right now, existing condition. I'm just wondering if you're gonna, because I think it's relying upon paved leak off. The paved leak off right now.
The short answer is yes, that will all get refortified. And then there's also another head wall that's on the pipe that comes from I'm not sure if it comes out of the roadway from this plan or from the, so there's also a new head wall at that outlet where it has a proposed 24-inch RCP pipe end.
Yeah.
With the sediment trap.
Okay.
So with regard to this whole area where we're talking about Broadmeadow Brook, let's take a look at that in the later sheets that will cover the north and the south side a little clearer, I think.
okay?
And it shows the drainage and those connections. So to scroll on to sheet, and we're actually there. So this shows the work at Broadmeadow Brook a little bit better. So on the north side, that's where we are extending the head wall out. We're actually extending the culvert and building a new head wall out towards the north side of Route 20 out into Broadmeadow Brook. So with that, we have direct impacts to land underwater, impacts to the bank. There are some temporary and there are temporary impacts to BVW, although those impacts are the smallest of the impacts I'm talking about. And then there's temporary impacts to bordering land subject to flooding. All of that will be mitigated. There is loss of land underwater due to the extension of the culvert.
Okay.
And on the south side, that's where the new head wall is proposed. On that, you can see the pipe that comes out of the drainage system of the roadway. And at the very left part of that blue paved area, kind of where it goes from blue to red, is a new head wall proposed there.
So Steve, can you show us where the replication are? So we're doing permanent impact. Are we doing restoration of any of that or mitigation? Is that shown on here?
The answer is yes. That is shown better. If you want to go 2 sheets down.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I know what sheet you're on. It's more than 2 sheets down. It's
okay.
3 of 3. It's
sheet
really
3
toward
of 3.
the end. 3 of 3. It's toward the end of the whole pack.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, right. All right. I see it.
There.
Back up.
Yeah.
Right there.
So, because it's so small on the other sheet, we had to create this blow-up detail. So in this plan shows where all the bordering land subject to flooding is replicated on a cubic foot per each elevation, and that's what the tables on the right show, what the areas of fill and what the areas of cut are. And the net fill area is 782.6 cubic feet, and the area that's restored is 823.6 cubic feet. So there's a little more restored than what the permanent impacts are. With regard to where the BBW impacts are, those are temporary. So the BBW is being mitigated or restored in place after the construction is completed.
Steve, I have a question about the cofferdam.
Yes.
Yeah, what's that made of?
Well, it's really neat. The contractor has final determination on what he needs for means and methods of the cofferdam. But the first thing they'll try to use a sandbag cofferdam. The other thing it might be a frame and fabric. I don't see a situation where they're going to be driving sheet pile cofferdam in here. I think it's going to be
Sandbags, large bags.
Yeah.
Can you get in there with a machine?
Yes, we've actually taken a rather large temporary easement so we can get into that whole site along the right. It can go fairly deep into on the right side, and then on the left side about half as deep.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, what else would you like me to move to?
All right, so now we're going to need to go back where we were.
Okay.
And going to be going back to
2 or 3. Go back 1. Back.
This one?
No.
9 of 27?
No. No, one of the sheet 1, 2, and 3 toward the end were the ones that had all of the work shown. You were on 3. You were on 3. If you go back,
yeah.
If you just.
So 2 is scrolling down a little bit further in the set that Priscilla has. Those 1, 2, and 3 sheets, they're weaved in to where they appear on the plan set. I remember that now, so we wouldn't have to jump back and forth so much. But I forgot about that bordering land subject to flooding sheet, and I didn't weave that in the right place.
Yeah.
So if you continue to scroll down, Priscilla, so that's where we were just talking about Broadmeadow Brook. In these areas, it's all just buffer zone work in the area of the Village Drive. And actually,
there's a little bit of wet. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's not buffer zone. This sheet actually shows something different. In the top right, you'll see that there's a couple of circles just to the left of where your cursor is now, about right there. So that is an area where we're going to put in some stormwater dry wells. We did test pits at about 15 or 16 locations along the project, and we found that just a couple that were suitable for stormwater, groundwater infiltration, and this is one of them. And so that is one of the stormwater improvements that the project is proposing right in that area. So that was the intent of this sheet only, just to show you where that stormwater infiltration structure would be.
And Steve, just because I know this area is an area that we've done some pretty good landscaping, we're not taking all that landscaping out, are we? Because there's a detention basin right behind it.
The short answer is some of those shrubs have to be removed for the groundwater infiltration, but there's also a lot of landscaping that's going back into the project.
Okay.
I'm not exactly right there.
I'll take a look too. All right, keep driving. Tell me what to do next.
So you can continue down.
Oh, Ed, just a second. Ed, this is the area that you were concerned about. This is the McGee's farm. There's a drainage that comes off, and I think Steve,
right
I think that it's probably the next sheet, perhaps. It's right here. So go ahead and speak to that, Steve.
So this area looks like it has another location where we've you can see on the left is that other dry well that we just talked about on the preceding sheet, on the upper left-hand corner of this sheet. And then just to the right of that, there's another dry well proposed. Yeah. So there is some groundwater infiltration. It might alleviate that. But I also think one of the things that might be occurring there is there's a bit of sheet flow in that area, correct, where it's coming off of the road in addition to the pipe?
I don't know. I just know that there's a pipe that comes out here and we're looking at something else later down the road on this side. So we're just trying to understand all the impacts together.
Yeah, so the pipe contained, so there's not a change there per se.
Okay.
But the improvement there is that some of the drainage will go into the infiltration basin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The addition of curb in the closed drainage system might reduce some of the runoff issues on that property.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Steve, because presently Route 20 East doesn't have a closed drainage system in a lot of the areas. Are you going to start collecting the water into a closed system and then convey it into the brooks?
The answer is yes. There is an addition. There are areas where a closed system is being added. There's no new outfalls to the brooks. They will end up tying into the existing drainage structure. And
yeah, that's Broad Meadow Brook, correct?
No, this is just
section. And that section right there would be Broad Meadow Brook.
No, this is just the drainage that's right next to McGee's right here.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the amount of water that you're going to have on the roadway. Are we going to put it into a drainage system, or are we going to put it sheet flow?
It's going into a drainage system. It doesn't. Not a lot of it is added to Broad Meadow Brook. It's tying into some of the systems that end up going off road and back behind some of these properties. Beyond the limit of the drawing show.
Knowing the property, that would be going uphill. It has to go downhill. And Broad Meadow Brook is the one that we were just talking about. And we have a proposal for construction of a large housing project. And we're concerned about the floodplain. We're just wondering how much more water would be going into that Broad Meadow Brook. Any idea?
Yeah, just give me a second to go back and look at your drainage plans where Broad Meadow Brook is.
Broad Meadow Brook was the one we were just talking about.
Broad Meadow Brook, if you go back to sheet 230, let's see, sheet 8 of 20, actually it's not that, like figure out which your number.
3 of 3, if you look at 3 of 3, that's
Or
Broad
8
Meadow.
of 20, 8 of 27 is where you're at.
Right, yes, that sheet. So scrolling down a little bit further. So on the right-hand side of that sheet, you see 2 drainage structures, 2 Ds.
Yep.
All the way and go further to the right. Almost to the right edge of the sheet.
Okay.
Those two.
Oops, sorry.
See those 2?
Sorry.
See, the reason that I'm saying this is that self-storage place, when they first went in there, they were having a flooding problem from Route 20, and all of the landscape material that they had in front of the place was all washing away. And I want to make sure that, we don't create a bigger problem, because, obviously if you put in a closed system, it will pick up the water and then convey it into Broad Meadow Brook.
So Ed, already, so just so I can explain to Ed, already these 2 drains on this side in front of the self-storage do already go here.
Yeah.
So they're just going to shore that up. What he's going to show us is that these drains that come here are the ones that are going to come down to what we were looking at before. Is that correct, Steve?
It's going to go the other direction?
Yep.
From those,
these go this way and these go this way. Is that right, Steve?
But they're still going into the same wetland. They're still going into the same wet area.
Downstream, correct.
yes. downstream side.
Yeah. So that whole area is going to be picking up more water.
There is a partial closed drainage system there right now from about the driveway.
Driveway going north.
Oh, I guess that's a driveway to the storage area.
That's
I'm
the
not-
driveway to the storage area, yeah.
So Steve, just so we don't waste too much time, why don't you give us some data on that, just sort of what the difference is between proposed, current conditions and proposed conditions on sort of that section. And I know what Ed's looking for, so I can talk to you about that off, after the meeting or tomorrow and just sort of clarify that, because I think we're just looking for, I can show you on a bigger map what the watershed areas that we're concerned about, and you can tell us whether there's any significant increase or not, and that'll just help us understand that. That's all.
Yeah, I can answer that clearer, probably better offline. The short answer, looking at this on the screen, it's adding it looks like it's adding no more than 150 feet of roadway distance.
Okay.
What the existing now carries.
Okay, why don't we go down further? Down to the Wayside Country Store, I think is next.
I think there's yeah. I don't know, Steve, tell me when you want to stop.
Yeah, the next area of impact is down near basically Hager, the unnamed intermittent stream, Hager Pond.
Okay. We're getting close. So actually right near near Old Boston Post Road, there's the next, I think it's the next one that has a, oops,
There's a
sorry.
drain. There's a drain that goes underneath.
Where is, oh, there's this wetland here, just so the commission knows there's a wetland here. It's right next to Halfway Cafe, but they're pretty far away from it. So I just wanted to note that they are definitely going here, and they do have erosion controls. So, and I don't think you're changing much of the drainage there, are you, Steve?
No.
Okay, so I'll continue down to Hager Pond. All right, here we are. Wetlands up here, wetlands here. This is Hager Pond. I don't know if there's a better sheet that you want to show, but I'll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The next sheet.
Next sheet. One more sheet. Keep going. No,
Okay.
one more.
One more.
Next.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. So it does show that whole area. So this is similar work as we were doing at the other brook, where the culvert is being extended on the north side, new head walls being constructed. In this area, the impacts are all, there's impacts to bank, and there's permanent impact to bank because of the extension of the culvert. There's also some permanent impact to the riverfront area. There's temporary and permanent impacts to land underwater, but there's no impacts to BVW in this area. So with the exception of where the culvert itself is extended, those other impacts will be restored upon completion of construction. That's on the north side. And then on the south side, where the project borders Hager Pond, there's that one long section of bank, about 150 feet long, that is fairly devoid of vegetation. Does have existing erosion issues where there's more of a country runoff situation. And so with the addition of the sidewalk and curbing, there is the need to add some drainage, and that drainage basically goes back to the same place where a good portion of the country drainage collects because it's at the low point of the road, and it had what we proposed there are 2 deep sump catch basins on the north and south side of the road that then go into that existing pipe and the existing outfall on the Hager Pond bank. But all of that ends up getting refortified. The bank will get refortified with a stone revetment, and then have a mulch and seeding placed over it to try to get vegetation to grow. And there's also provisions in the contract for the placement of livestock stakes within the bank under the direction of the landscape architect.
Well, am I correct when I'm looking at this plan, is that you're going to narrow Route 20 right there, correct? Because you're going to be putting in a sidewalk.
There's
no sidewalks presently on either side down there.
Right. I think the answer to your question is yes. The actual curb to curb width could be slightly less than the existing edge of pavement to the edge of pavement because of what the design does there. It's not going to be 2 lanes in each direction anymore. So I think the width of what you consider Route 20 and what the travel lane and so forth is does get slightly reduced. But there is widening that also takes place, and that's what the need for the overall. There's widening there if you put the sidewalk back in. So if you count the road and the sidewalk, it actually is being widened there.
Right.
So a long way to answer your question, but I think I have now.
It looks as though it's you're going onto the north side. You're widening it to the north side or west or east side or south side. You know,
North side. North side.
So we'll use the north side. So you're going to go. There's presently there's a house there, and there's a wall presently in front of it. So you're going to go up close to the wall with the sidewalk. Then on the other side, you're going to put in a sidewalk and a Jersey barriers, not Jersey barriers, but barriers.
Guardrails.
Guardrails.
Yeah. So you're actually narrowing the road the way I see it. Yeah.
The road, the overall, the cross-sectional width of the road plus the sidewalk is greater than the road only right now. But
you're moving it north. You're actually moving the side of the road to the north side, more to the north side. You're increasing the width of the road there.
Yes.
Yeah, you're increasing it. Right.
Sidewalk.
Yeah.
So Ed, the area that they're really making the biggest width is right at the culvert. They have to extend the culvert on the north side in order to be able to put the sidewalk in.
Yeah, they do. They have to bring it up a lot further.
So this whole area here is new.
Yeah.
That's new. Right now it stops here or someplace like that. Yep.
I think it's right up against the road right now. You know, they're going to put in a coffer dam on this one also. And there's an awful lot of water that comes down through there, you know, in the present situation. And putting a coffer dam, you're going to have to be very careful. Well, hopefully they don't lose it. Is it going to be the sandbag again?
Yeah. The answer is yes, and it should be something that should be more accommodatable in this area. And you know, per your typical questions, they should be doing that in the dry. I mean, it's a drier time of the year. Now, certainly there could be high flow conditions, but they have to be prepared to deal with that and allow those flows to go through.
That stream runs pretty much full tilt year round. You know, I don't think there's ever a dry time. If it was a dry time, a sewage treatment plant wouldn't be in operation.
But Like, I think what I mean is, low flow time, the driest part of the year you can get. Between June and September, June 30th and September.
I think Tom DePercio can probably give you a better idea of how much effluent is coming down that stream at certain times of the year. Now, I have a question. What is a floating filter fabric of silt fence?
Let's scroll
Silk
down.
curtain.
What is
Floating
it?
silk curtain.
A floating,
It's like a boom. Right, Steve?
is it a boom?
It's a boom that has a curtain hanging down from it. If you scroll down to the next sheet, there's a little detail that has that. One more sheet after that. So that's there. Up at the top.
Okay, there it is.
So on the left side, it shows the flotation silk curtain. So
Right there,
basically,
yeah.
that's put on the water edge to prevent, any siltation that might be coming off that bank during construction from getting out into the pond.
Now tell me, how do they, say, okay, there's the filter fabric. Now, at the end of the project, what do they do? Do they leave it in the pond, or they just drive away and leave it there? Or?
It's easy. It just floats. You just pick it up and pull it out and carry it away. It's
So
very
they
easy
can
to remove.
they can actually pull that. It's like a silt sack for a catch basin, but it's a giant silk sack for a pond.
Like a curtain.
It's like a shower curtain hanging.
Yeah.
Flotation.
So where does the dirt go? It goes down to the bottom. The dirt sinks, so you have to clean it out, obviously.
Yeah, it settles on one side of the curtain, and then you remove that before you take the curtain away. It
Yes.
basically prevents getting out into the pond.
Have you ever seen that before, Priscilla?
I have seen them. I've seen them used, and I've seen them used effectively. So I do know that they tend to keep. The water is dirty this side, and it sort of has to go through this curtain to get to the other side. So it does help to stop the flow, and then it drops out. And if it's a lot, you do have to clean out the stuff in front of the curtain. We've actually used that curtain at the recreation department to keep the weeds out of the swimming area. So it creates that barrier. The water can get through it, but it does. If the curtain is thick enough, it can prevent the silt from going through as well.
Okay, what is a barge boat? Are you going to put a barge in the lake?
Yeah, it allows them to be able to maintain the floating silk curtain.
Well, that's
what they would.
I didn't know if you were going to go in there with an 85-foot barge with a crane on it.
No, it's just something small enough for a man or a couple of men or women to be able to get in and out of the pond and then be able to maintain the floating silk curtain.
So the other thing that I might have mentioned when we were on the site visit with Sue is that this area, Karen Paquin and I kayaked this pond just to see whether we had any invasive weeds on it. This area with our kayaks, we couldn't even get in because it was so shallow. So you may actually have to dig out. There's so much sediments that have accumulated here over the years. And I think when we were out there, we were looking at this pipe to see the flow. It's coming through, but there's definitely some sediment deposits. I would recommend that we allow them to dig out as much of this as they need to get in and move around. It's definitely sand deposits from years and years of deposit that ran off the road. So as much as you can get out that you're able to is I think not a dredge project. It's a removing sediment deposits. So I don't know quite how Steve or Sue want to address that in any way, but again, it just gets really shallow here. We could not, with our kayaks, come in to see this pipe because this area right here was it was inches of water, there was not feet or even 5 feet. It was very shallow.
What's the extent, Priscilla?
Pardon?
You know the extent, like with your cursor, can you trace the?
I am saying it's this. When you see the full extent, and I think 10 or 15 years ago we were looking at trying to figure out how to dredge this, but then it was just exorbitant cost that we couldn't do. So I guess the key would just try to be making sure that we got a decent channel, which will probably, we might want to talk about that just a little bit. I don't know. We can talk about it offline and then next meeting discuss it a little bit more. But I just know that this is really shallow. So even getting some of your equipment in there, it's again, I don't know how we were in a kayak, so I don't know how mushy it is. I don't know whether it's sort of soft sand or whether it's sort of hard packed just because it's been there for a while.
I wouldn't try to walk there, Priscilla. To me, what they have to do is they probably have to bring in a long reach machine, set it on the roadway, reach out and see if they remove some of the material. Because it's all the sand. And
well, we'll have to look at that, but I guess I just bring that up because I know that's the condition. That's all.
Because that's a launch area right on the side, right? On the left.
Yeah. There's no real launch area, like for your work or for people in general.
You put the kayaks in.
No, not really.
John
That's
Deli's,
private.
John Deli's house.
Yeah.
John Deli's old house right there.
Oh, okay.
The driveway. There's a driveway right there. It's
Mhm.
level with pretty much with the level of the pond.
Okay.
It's nothing official if people are doing it. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah, we'd have to probably just talk to the project manager about that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're thinking more a channel for the perennial stream to flow through.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Because right now it's sort of it sort of does some circuitous route, but we should look at that just a little bit and see if there's any benefit to doing something else or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'd like the city engineer, if possibly, to weigh in on this to find out if he has some idea what the depth of it is. He might have some idea. But Tom DeBrist have some idea. I don't know.
I'm here, Ed, now, if you'd like me to.
Oh, great, Tom. I'm glad you're here.
Hi. I know Priscilla has shown me that when we were out there, and there's definitely a delta there of sediment from the road for sure. I don't know the depth. We probably have we may have some old topographic maps that might give us a clue to that we could look at.
I know that through the years, it's developed a giant alluvial fan in front of that because of all the sand coming down Route 20. It needs maintenance. It definitely needs maintenance. So maybe this is the time to do it.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
Now the riprap along the shore there, what size is that? Steve?
That's actually something a little bit bigger than riprap. It's what's called modified rock fill, and that's usually stones that are in the 200-pound range, I believe, is what that spec calls for. So they actually, if you go to the detail on that sheet, it's 2 sheets down. It's not dumped; it's more placed and interlocked. Graphically does show smaller stones, but that's just the hatching that's used, just so you can see it. It's usually comprised of the larger, heavier stones, and that's why its thickness is, I think it's shown as either 18 or 20 just thick, and that's because of the size of stones that are used.
They have to be laid in with a machine. It has to be laid in with a machine.
Yes.
Okay.
And Steve, just for clarification, that whole slope that's there today gets removed and replaced with this new configuration, correct?
The answer is yes. What looks like there's there now is I can see that it looks like some old granite curb may have been used because you can see it kind of sticking out in places. So we expect that a lot of that all will need to be removed to make way for this new fortification.
And for the commission's sake, we had talked about there on this detail, there's all these places where they can put landscaping and plugs, and the idea is that then over time that riprap becomes vegetated and then sort of has a cooling effect, and so the heat of that isn't going to heat up the pond any more than the side thing is. So that's a benefit from an ecological perspective.
Yeah, I think
All
I
right.
would agree with that. If the vegetation to take, it should be an improvement. It looks like right now you have a situation where it's hard for vegetation to survive out there, and you basically have a bank that just has two effects. One, it's eroding, and then two, it has that heat effect or lack of cooling effect, the vegetative bank.
I have a question. What's the timeline on this?
The timeline, the construction in 2022. Right now they're doing all the right-of-way. It's expected that the right-of-way is going to take a year. Is it 2022 or 2021? 2021. Right-of-way is going to take about a year. They expect to complete right-of-way in, I'm going from memory now. So right-of-way is expected to be completed early of 2021. It's listed for being advertised in May of 2021. And so what I expect happening in May of 2021 is probably a lot of that early utility work would be getting done. Because there's also, separately from this project, Verizon has work to do and Eversource has work to do. And so the contractor will have to allow them onto the project site to do their work. Contractor could do some of his drainage and other utility work and water work at the same time. So it's at least a 2-year project because of all of those factors. And the town is also doing a significant, not the town, the city is doing a significant amount of water work in what's called non-participating, meaning the city is going to pay for their water work. And so the contractor will be bidding on that water work and doing that water work. So that's what will happen in the first year. There could be some of that happening in the late summer of 2021. You're really going to see the bulk of your construction happening in 2022.
Would it go out to a single bidder or multiple bidders? So if you might have one doing one section, somebody else doing another section, or one bidder going to do the whole thing? Do you have any idea?
It's going to be one bidder as far as prime contractor goes, but he could potentially have subcontract. He could have a subcontractor that does the water if that's not something that he specializes in. But we kind of expect that the prime will probably have the ability of both. But he's also going to be large enough to where he's going to have multiple sections of this road under construction at a time.
Yeah. See, the reason I ask that is sometimes we have multiple contractors on a job, and one is better than the other, and one of them might have this section right here, and we want to know who we're dealing with. So we'd have to have, in the order of conditions, we'd have to have we'd have to meet with a contractor at a meeting.
In the answer to that question, it's one prime that's going to be responsible for everybody all the time.
Okay. Oh, I've been doing a lot of the talking. Other members, come on, if you wanted to ask questions, now's the time.
Eddie, Dennis talking. My primary question, which I think just got answered, because I was going to ask Tom DePercio, which he could clear more on that one. You're talking about all this drainage and everything else on it. As we all know, the water main from Peters Ave all the way down to Hager Pond is terrible. Is that going to be replaced in its entirety, or what's going to happen to that? It's had multiple failures over the years, and it is mostly cement asbestos.
Yes, Dennis, this is Tom. Yeah, the plan is to replace the water main. There's a lot of cement asbestos. There's kind of a mishmash of other sizes and types. So the plan is to replace it for the whole length of this project. So that's a big project.
Right. Well, I understand. That's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Myself personally, I've fixed it twice.
Yeah.
And I'm a small contractor compared to all the other repairs the city had to do. I mean, do all this work and not do the subsurface would be crazy. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
When would you do that, Tom?
Well, as Steve mentioned, it would be bid with this whole project, and then it would be up to the contractor as to how they're going to tackle it, and that's going to take a lot of planning, and but that it'll be bid with the rest of it. That's my assumption, correct, Steve?
Yes. That's where I expect, that's where I expect utility work to potentially begin in 2021, late summer into fall. A combination of Eversource, Verizon, not inside this contract, but under their own work crews. And then the water work would be inside of this contract under the direction of the prime, if not done directly by the prime.
Hey, Dennis,
Yes.
is there any concrete underneath some of the asphalt?
Yes.
So there is.
There is. Right there, actually, at Peters Ave is concrete. And how far it extends after that, I'm pretty sure that it goes almost down to where the old McDonald's was.
On the hill.
Yeah, down by Joe Lynn.
Joe Lynn's.
Yeah.
Yeah, the engineers have a good handle on that. That's in the plans, and that was a big part of the design of the water project too. Just another thing they have to contend with.
Yeah, all of the
Steve.
utilities are contending with that. You can actually see on this plan where the words Boston Post Road are on the left. Just to the right of that, you can see a note that says approximate location of existing 8-inch reinforced concrete slab. And then those two lines, basically, gravel in each direction.
Are they gonna remove that?
No,
Are they gonna remove it or leave it?
leave it. So that was one of the challenges with the utility work, that added a lot of expense to it. And then also that was a challenge with regard to the design. The current road is built on top of that slab. And so when we rebuilt this, we needed to make sure we had, sufficient, when I say built on top of, I mean, it has the slab and then gravel base and then the road. And when we designed the reconstruction, we needed to keep that depth of gravel base on top of the concrete slab before we started the base course of the paving.
Yeah.
Steve, this is Bill.
Go ahead, Bill.
Up by Burger King, there's a low spot in the road. Often there's water in the roadway, maybe coming from Burger King, maybe because of the layout of the road. Is there anything that's going to be done to change the elevation of that section?
Looked at the entire road with regard to drainage and should be correcting any of those gutter line or ponding issues. I'd have to look exactly at that Burger King site to see what we're doing there.
Priscilla, can you get it up?
Yeah, let me see which page. So which page should I be looking at? Do you know?
After McGee's, maybe one or two after McGee's.
Mm,
18 of 27.
Okay. All right, let's see. We are at.
So you've got a hill where the piping goes through at the end of McGee's. There's a hill and then it drops down to Burger King.
Am I on the right page?
I don't know. I can't identify anything here with the size of
That's
the
it. So
Okay, this is Hess. So we're off.
So from Raytheon Credit Union back to where
Just
Chill
trying to see
is.
where Farm Road is. So let me just see where,
Yeah, west of Farm Road.
yeah.
I'm gonna find Wilson.
Okay, so this is McGee's. Oops.
Just above Wilson Street.
West of Wilson.
Hmm.
Burger King is across from Honeydew Donuts, correct?
West of,
Yes, yes.
That's correct.
It is just, it's not much, it's just to the east of Countryside Apartments.
yeah.
Yeah, so what sheet are we on, Steve?
I just had your construction sheet. I'm trying to look up the grading sheet while you're looking at the construction sheet.
Okay.
So you will need to find it on,
I don't think it's on the sheets that
I
we
don't know
have.
what's gonna be, because
It's-
I
we
only
don't
gave
have
you
it.
the sheet you asked for.
No,
Okay.
we don't have those. We don't have them.
So Bill, what's your question? Maybe Steve can get to us for the next meeting.
The drainage coming off of Hillside, coming off of Burger King, puddles in front of Burger King. So there are additional catch basins that are going to be installed there, or is the elevation of the roadway going to be raised so that the water doesn't end up in the roadway? And you can,
Understood.
and Steve, you can get back with Priscilla on that. There's no need of taking extra time tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, can do.
Okay, anybody?
Yeah, Ed, this
Yeah.
is Dave.
Dave, go ahead.
The end of work that they're gonna do at the Sudbury line. Last week, there was a contractor in on LaValle's property hauling material out of there.
Yes, David, I talked to, it's whatever his name is, Wambolt.
Wambolt.
And Tim and I have been in touch with them. They're supposed to be calling me, so we're gonna see if we can get them under control.
Oh, he's making a curb cut for himself. I mean, he's coming right off the Route 20.
He had a gate there, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's not showing on the plan.
No, and so I don't know whether that's a question for Steve or Sue about.
I think because she's Mass Highway, so.
Sue, what do you know
Right.
about the new curb cuts?
We have no,
I don't know.
Okay.
sounds like it could be an illegal cut. They would have to get a permit from Mass DOT to access that part of Route 20. I guess conceivably it could have happened.
It would be
without our-
the district, so I'd have to check with them.
Okay. I
'cause
know
he
that I have a call into the guy. He's a farmer. He's using some kind of material. I think he's just bringing in some soil, but he's making a
He's
big
hauling
mess.
out. Because
Hauling
it's
out.
Oh, then he's
coming out
in
because he's got it
trouble.
on the other side of the road. Every time he comes out, the stuff falls off and it's on the other side of the road.
All right, well, I'll go out tomorrow because I told him to stop and I told him to not do any more until he talked to me. And that's the message that was left with him. So I haven't heard back.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I hate to beat a dead horse here. Eddie, can I ask one more question?
All right, go right ahead, Dennis.
I know, Steve, you said that concrete was gonna stay under the pavement. And I think Tom can answer this one. They just redone, the other part of East Main Street there by Dairy Queen. And if I believe, they were supposed to leave the concrete there, but they ran into such a disaster, they had to end up by removing it all. Am I right or wrong? Tom?
Work. So by the time we were done doing all the utility work, much of it did get removed, and there's no question it was It was a lot of work.
I mean, I'm only playing it, I'm trying to be devil's advocate. I mean, that section of East Main Street is very short. Now
Yeah.
you're gonna take care of a larger area. Talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the cost to remove it all would be astronomical if we wanted to try to remove it from the whole corridor. I think that's probably part of the analysis that Steve and his team did.
Okay. I'm just trying to, because the traffic is gonna be horrendous as it is, and trying to work around all this stuff and that included, that's all. So that's my 2 cents. Sorry.
It would add millions and millions of dollars to the project, might even double or greater the cost. Basically, right now, a lot of the roadway staying and being milled and overlaid, and other things are box widening in general. So that type of approach would require excavating the entire roadway, every bit of it, and then also excavating down to get the slab out, and then putting all gravel back in. If Howard Stein Hudson did a cost analysis before I started on the project, I could certainly look into that. But I know that that's basically what the decision. If that were part of the project, it wouldn't be a project. It would just be too expensive.
Okay.
You know, in some cases, some of these old post road areas have paving blocks underneath it also, granite pavers. So that's going down. They might have put the hot top, the concrete on top of the granite pavers. So that'd be another layer.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that, but I mean, of course, doing this new, or how we're going to do this water main, you're going to probably end up by tearing up a whole bunch of it anyway. Not willingly, but just because of water main. That's all.
We tried to minimize that, and I know Tom had that to minimize as well.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, your point is well taken, Dennis. The water main project is designed to mostly be outside the limits of the concrete. We're not going to be able to be for a lot of it, but that's the idea.
All right. Well, that's fine. I mean, my 2 cents. I'm sorry.
Hey, Tom, are they looking at sewer down there also?
One of the things we have been looking at is installing dry sewer down at the end where there is no sewer, and kind of looking at the cost and benefit of that also. That stretch of gravity dry sewer would be a small percentage of what it would take, because we'd need another pump station and a long force main.
You'd have to put a pump station down on Route 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, anybody else that has questions? Okay, Priscilla, where do we go from here?
So for this one, it's a notice of intent. I can draft a set of conditions. It sounds like we still have some questions to be answered. Our next meeting is next week, so I'm not thinking I'm going to have conditions for you because our mailing goes out tomorrow. So Steve and Sue, can we continue this to the May 7th meeting?
May 7th.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move it to May 7th. I will draft some conditions, but it sounds like we still have some questions out there. So if Steve and Sue can get those answers to us, then we can get them back to the commission members. And if there's any other outstanding questions that anybody has before the next meeting, let me know and I can get them to Sue and Steve. And then we can try to wrap it up at the next meeting if that makes sense.
Priscilla, can we just go over the questions that we need to get back to you on?
Yep, so go ahead.
Go over what
So I have, for my end, I was gonna ask the project manager about dredging the channel at Hager Pond. As well as I can find out from the district about the curb cut.
Yeah.
And that's all I have on my end. Steve?
And then there was just 2 drainage things. One was the drainage at at Burger King, which is really not a wetlands issue. It's more just sort of a drainage request. And then the other thing was the sort of the amount of additional flow that we're getting in that area around McGee's property, so that which is near the Broad Meadow, near that the self-storage facility, so that we can understand what the impact to that stream is going to be, given that we're having another development that's happening there. So we just want to understand what the change might be.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else that I missed from the commission?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so we going to
We'll
continue
continue
this
to
to,
May 7th.
May 7th. I'll call the roll so if you agree. Dennis?
Aye.
John?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Bill? Bill?
Bill Dunbar, did you leave us?
I don't know.
Let's see.
He's
okay,
muted.
He must be muted. Are you
Bill,
there, Dave?
Bill, you can
Bill?
unmute yourself, *6,
Yeah.
if you're on a phone. Bill?
I'm all set.
Okay.
I would say yes as well.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
and myself, so 6 yea, that is approved. So this is continued
No,
to
it's
May
not
7th.
yet. Yep, continue to May 7th, correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Steve. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Sue.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Well, let's see, now we're gonna take up the tough one now. This is a notice of intent for Poria Drive, City of Marlborough DPW. This is to add parking and drainage along Poria Drive. Work is proposed near the wetlands. Anyone here to speak on the matter?
Yes, sir.
Let me get your picture up here. Okay.
Okay,
Whoops, wrong one. Hold on. Next.
Yeah, are they up?
there it is.
Yeah. Can you
Yep.
see them now?
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
now I do. Okay.
Can you see me now? Can you see me now?
Can you see me now? Can you see me now? All right.
So we saw the plans at the last hearing that I was at, and we talked about the meandering sidewalk on the south side of Poria Drive. We're adding a new sidewalk on the north side, the side where the new school is. That will go all the way from the end of the teacher parking lot all the way to Bolton Street on the north side of Poria. I showed you that last time. We talked about the meandering sidewalk, which we had in order to fit in the new parking. The idea then was to eliminate that sidewalk for the stretch basically from the tennis courts out to Bolton Street. But the request from the commission and from others that we heard from was to see if we could keep that connection in place. So what we are showing here is the sidewalk will connect from the Bolton Street end. We'll pick it up and run it along the back of the parking spaces. And that alignment is necessary because there's gonna need to be a swale between there and the property line next to Benchmark.
Yep.
In order to make sure that the surface runoff maintains its pattern there. So we need to keep the sidewalk up against the parking spaces along that stretch. And then we need to bring it up along the road for a short piece where the little detention basin is going to be. And then it will grade down and make a connection back down by the wetland area back to
Now, is that a speed
where it is
table?
now.
Is that one of those speed tables right there?
Yeah, so there's all the speed bumps that are there now. Basically, we're going to replace with raised crosswalks or speed tables. So it's much wider than the speed bump, and it will serve as the crosswalk. So it'll be a much more visible indication to the drivers of the crosswalks. So that's the idea on those. There's several of those.
Are there handicap spaces in those? This is so small I can't read it. So
Yeah, there is. There's two next to where the crosswalk is.
Oops, let me see if I can show you.
yeah, you can now. You just move it around.
It's these two spaces right here.
Yeah. One of the things, that taskbar that I have, when I talk, this taskbar is on all the time, so it's right in the middle.
Yes, right in the way.
Yeah, you can't read. So move that up a little
Unknown
bit.
participant
Okay.
is now exiting.
Move it up. Move it up. Up a little, right there. That's good. Okay. So you're gonna have the drainage. Now there's drainage coming out of off of the side of the hill from Benchmark. Are we gonna pick that up?
Yep. So that's the outfall from there. They have a subsurface infiltration system, and the
Right.
outfall from that, which is it doesn't see flow in all storms. It's like sort of a major storm overflow, but that connects in now to our drain system, and it will continue. We're going to pick that up, and so the drainage. Right now, the drainage goes across the road right there to next to the softball field.
Right.
We're going to bring that connection down to the east, right, through a detention basin, and then into the end of the wetland there, and then through the other culvert. So it'll help the wetness that happens sometimes along the softball field.
Okay. Will you get rid? So you'll get rid of that whole wet swale beside the field.
Right.
Of course, a lot of that is the melt from the sheet flow melt from the rink.
Yeah, that's right. It is. Yeah. So, but at least this extra flow from that one catch basin that we had there won't go that way anymore.
Yeah. Now, are you going to put a fence around that detention basin, or is it just going to be a shallow one?
Well, that's one thing we talked about, especially now if the sidewalk is going to go along there. I think we're going to need some kind of a fence along that side. There is a fence on the other side already.
Yeah, it's a fence on the south side.
Yeah, so I think we're going to need it on the street side now.
Even with the vegetation that's going in, or that doesn't count?
Yeah, I think we'll need something because the grading is going to be tough there. It's going to be steep.
Yeah,
It's steep now.
Yeah.
So even if it's maybe a wood guardrail or something.
Yeah.
Now, will all the water go through there, or is that just going to be storm flow?
That will be. Yeah, so this will pick up all the street runoff, basically from Bolton Street to the crosswalk.
So there, yeah. Put it into that, and into the detention basin. Where does it go from there?
Then it will go down. So the low where Priscilla has the cursor, that's the end of the wetland that's behind Benchmark. It all runs down to there, goes under Poirier, and connects to near the school and the wetlands, and eventually, as you know, all goes down to Red Spring Road.
So now, then my question really is are you going to put a pipe there so that the water is going to be underground and then down into the wetland, or is it going to be surface all the way down?
There's a pipe.
Yeah,
it's a under drain, so there'll be a slow outfall from that, so it'll get detained, and then there's a spillway for larger events, and then it will drain down slowly.
Okay, so it's not going to be out in the surface. It's going to be under drain, a closed drainage system.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And just so you know that he did provide us with some landscaping plans too.
Yep.
see if I can. So just so you can see, this is the section next to the where the new parking spaces are going to be, and then I think he has some pictures where near the detention area too. So
Hey, Tom.
eventually, in quite a few years, it'll look lovely.
Hey, Tom, presently the contractor went in there, he dug everything out of there. Everything's gone. All the stumps are gone. The sidewalk is gone. He took all the material and put it on the other side of the road and dumped it there. Are they going to keep it there, or is it going to be used as fill? Or
Some of that is temporary staging of it. Some of that does need to get filled, but there was, yeah, some of that's going to get moved again from there.
Yeah. So they didn't put any erosion control around it or anything. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's right. True. Yep.
We don't want it on the new turf, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'll make a note of that. That's a good point. Yep.
Tom, this is Bill. What about the boulders that were put on the east end of the fill area that you're just talking about? Are they going to be utilized in amongst the planting, or are those going to be carted off?
So I've had other questioned that same question, and there wasn't really a plan to have them on the surface exposed, as that could be something we could look at. I can Mike that did this landscape plan, I can talk to him about that if that's of interest.
Well, the meandering walkway was a treat. The boulders were a treat. The trees were a treat, and now, of course, it's all gone. And so having the boulders in amongst, or maybe utilized somewhere else in the city instead of landfill them. So.
Yeah.
You're trying to replace the treat? Is that what you're trying to do?
They were I haven't been up there in the last few days. Have they removed all of that stuff, or how far along are they?
They had to remove a lot of that. They may have finished today with the drainage structures that are going in and around the new parking, and I think that they plan to start filling and grading the gravel for that parking area, and they hope to do the reclaiming of the road early next week, so we can get that graded and paved. So they're going to move fairly quickly now.
Yep, I know they did a good job on the erosion control. It looked good. I was up there. I was up there last week, and I saw you drive by, and you were looking at them also. But it looked good.
Good.
So, any other questions out there? Any other questions? Okay. Anybody out there remotely that we don't know about?
And if you are, you can unmute yourself. If you're on a phone, *6, and if you're not, just get the bar up on your screen and unmute yourself, and then you can talk.
Okay. Hey, Tom, don't go away. I have a question after we close the meeting. Okay. Is there anyone else? Okay, I'm going to hear nothing else. I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. Do you want to? Can you draft conditions for the next meeting, Priscilla?
I can try, but you will not get them until the meeting, because we're putting the stuff in the mail tomorrow. I will not get them by noon. Sorry. Well, I'm not that fast.
I'm not saying, see if you take a look at it, a lot of the deadlines are set for the city council. The city council meets on a Monday night, and they close everything on Thursdays. So, I mean, Fridays. So my feeling is that what we can do is we can draft the conditions, and if they, when we get we can probably get them prior to the meeting.
So,
So-
okay, because remember, we're having 2 meetings back to back to make up for the meetings we missed. So we're doing this Thursday and then next Thursday, and then we'll go back to our regular 2-week schedule.
Why don't
So
we put the conditions on for the next meeting on the 16th,
okay, I'll try.
okay?
We might have to amend the agenda, but that's okay. Your agenda may have gone in the mail today. So if it did, then we'll just email everybody, or shall I mail it? I'll mail it.
I mail it, yeah.
Okay.
So we should have the hard copy in front of us.
So I might be able to mail it on Monday if I can get the conditions done by then. So, okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so that public hearing is closed. Now, the Boyden Drive, the certificate of compliance.
We're
You're
not
not
ready.
ready?
So actually, just let's say, Tom, you may, oh, you were supposed to stick it around, never mind. So Boyden Drive is not quite ready. They need to put up a fence as a barrier to the wetland. This is one of those houses that had a very, 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 very small backyard. The deck hangs over or just is at the edge of the 20-foot buffer. So, so they're not quite ready. So we'll just continue that. Let's continue that to May 7th because I don't think it's going to happen next week.
Okay, so that'll be put off to May 7th. Okay, so we don't have to vote on that this evening.
No.
Next one is the Holtz Grove Educational Rope Course. Tom, has anybody contacted you about the use of Holtz Grove parking lot or the ropes course?
No.
Superintendent Bergeron, has he ever talked to the engineering department?
No, I haven't been contacted about that.
Okay, so you don't know anything about it, so.
So Ed, just let's tell the commission that Ed's been approached by the school department to see, since the ropes course that was removed when they put in the new school was removed from that area next to where we're just talking about. They have made a request to us from a conservation perspective to see if they could put the ropes course on the conservation land because that's abuts the school. I don't know the legality of that quite yet, but they approached Ed and said, what do you think? And I said, I'll be happy to walk it with whoever, and let's look at areas that would even be remotely okay for something like that. So I don't know if the commission wants to even just think about that or give some initial thoughts about that. And then obviously we have to have more conversations with the school department.
Yeah, I have, there's a few caveats that I have. Of course, you have, the Marlborough High School is near and dear to my heart. I was involved actually in the original project adventure when they brought it into the school, and they've continued it along through the years, and they have gone from being up in trees and things like that to actually constructing poled types of obstacles that they would put different types of activities on. And they approached me and asked if it would be possible to utilize the open area right beside the pond there, which is basically a parking lot. But I'd like to know more about it as far as about their use, how big they want to go. And also, we have to have all the legality of it. We have to be made we don't want to be centers of litigation if anybody gets hurt over there. So we have to have some sort of caveat preventing us from being litigated against. But I would, if they're going to do something, Tom, I really would hope that the engineering department would become involved. So if Priscilla, if you could possibly contact the superintendent and talk with him, and then if they want to meet and go down and walk it. I know that Kevin Cormier is the teacher that does it at the high school. So we'd actually have to have some sort of a drawing, and I'd like the engineering department to become involved in it too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think the key is to walk it first, decide if we, if that makes a sense, and if it does, then we proceed with some kind of design. So, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so if you
Okay.
would do that, Priscilla.
Yeah,
And next-
that sounds good.
Next item was the floodplain protection district on the McGee Farm.
So the zoning hearing has been continued. They're coming before us at the next meeting on the 16th. We'll see how that goes. I know there's a lot of neighbors who want to participate, so we'll just have to make sure that, that it's an open meeting and everybody can participate. So I think since they were going to have a meeting on the 14th, but we're not going to have comments to them by then. So I can just, and I think they're just going to open their hearing and continue it. So I'll just for the record, I'll just say that we met tonight, but we we're going to hear it next week. So we're not going to have comments until after that.
One of the things that I talked to Priscilla about is that I have concerns about the floodplain. I have we have the Rivers Bill involved here, and we also have the Inland Wetlands Protection Act. So there's three different things that are coming. They're coming forward on this project. It's a pretty large project. We'll all get a chance to see it. We all have a copy. Did you all get a copy of them? That was that big set of plans. Did we all get them?
Yes.
I got one.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to put it on my living room floor and walk across it to look at it.
So I don't know if there's any initial comments people want to say, but next week we'll have them present to us and we'll have a better sense of what they're proposing for mitigation and having them discuss that.
And those were the plans from the 20th of February?
I don't know what the date was. It's for 339 Boston Post Road.
Yep. I have 339, and the latest plan I have, the latest revision is February 20th.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think those are, yeah.
And of course, Ed, like you were discussing there with the state guy, they are going to dump more water in there.
Yeah. See, that's the concern I have. That's the concern I have, Dennis, is that there's going to be more water going into that stream, whether it's going to be in that spot or down further across from the villages. So there's more water going into that area. And it's all coming off of Route 20. So I think they have to plan appropriately for it.
Yep.
They want to put 4 buildings in there. 4 buildings. How many apartments? 148?
188.
188 apartments. Just what we need. And I imagine has the engineering department seen them, Tom?
Yeah, we have them too. So I made a note to review for the ZBA and for conservation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a heavy lift on this one. So
Yeah.
I'm scouring it closely because I think there's just a lot of pieces to it that we need to make sure are right so that we don't impact people downstream or upstream.
I'll ask you a question. Is that satellite parking lot a must? Or is that just for them to meet their zoning requirements and everything? On it. You know what I mean? They got a little satellite.
We've seen it several times. We've seen it on, we've seen it off, we've seen it on, we've seen it off. So I think it has something to do with meeting zoning requirements, but they don't think they need it. So I think we're still waiting to hear from Jeff as to what they actually can use. I think the satellite parking is a little too far to be effective. Can be called that. Tom, you might know better than, but I know that's been an issue of discussion.
Yeah, the last time I talked to Jeff about that, my understanding was they need that to satisfy the zoning with respect to parking. And I feel the same way. I mean, that's just too remote to really, for us to agree that qualifies as them meeting their parking requirements.
That was my feeling. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
They'll have to have public transportation.
Right.
Yes, and right now they don't have a sidewalk, so that doesn't even meet any kind of requirement. So Jeff made that comment before. You're a smart man, Dennis.
Yeah. Okay, so we all have a long commute home tonight. Priscilla, I know that.
The traffic on the stairs is really horrendous in my house.
Hey, maybe this, too bad we couldn't do this all the time.
Well, if we can all get on without the whole half-hour delay, that'd be useful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta iron the bugs out of that.
I'll figure out how best to do that. Maybe I have to invite everybody that I know wants to come, but then other people can go on the website, but we'll see. So
Is Scott still with us?
I sure am.
Okay, so we bored the hell out of you, huh?
It's very educational.
Okay, Scott, so hopefully by the next meeting, which is next Thursday night, we can all try to get on maybe a little bit earlier and make sure that it's all ironed out before we get this thing going. Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else have any comments or?
Yeah, this is Dave. Dennis,
Yes.
my neighbor across the street
Yes.
took a bunch of trees down, and Wednesday they hired a contractor to come in. He came in with an excavator and buried them on the backyard. Is that legal?
Illegal. I'm sorry, Dave. Was that your question?
I mean, I don't think that it's right.
It's illegal.
It's illegal. Okay.
Yeah. Number one, it down there, the high water table, as you already know,
Right.
and they're burying them underwater. And now your neighbor, you say, is that in Marlborough or is
It's in Marlborough. They're the ones with the long driveway down there.
Okay. That's illegal, and that's Priscilla should take a ride down there.
I am. I meant to go yesterday and I forgot. And then the other thing is that I've talked to them plenty, so they absolutely know there's wetlands back there. So it's not so, and I think I even have documentation of talking to them and giving them notice. So I will do that tomorrow.
Okay. Because it isn't just the trees, it's stumps too. Everything is no longer.
It's just stumps. They took the trees out.
Yeah, okay. It used to be at one time, but that's gone by the wayside about 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And it's just because of the decay factor.
Right, exactly.
I'll give you an example. They buried the stumps in my in my area when they built the houses. My daughter was running when she was little. She was running across my neighbor's backyard, and she fell into a deep hole from one of the stumps decaying.
Yeah.
Then I was digging out in the front of my house to put in a new tree, and all of a sudden I encountered a huge hole that went down maybe 8 or 9 feet, and it was where a stump had been buried and had decayed. So those are the things that happen.
Okay.
Okay.
I told him I didn't think it was right, but the contractor said, "Oh, I do it all the time." So.
I'll be out tomorrow. I will be out tomorrow.
Is he, number one, Dave, was he a local contractor or out of town?
He was from out of town.
Okay. Because everybody in this area knows better. And I don't want to say it, but it's statewide. It's not just.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Yeah.
But
I'll make sure he knows, Dennis.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, is there anything else? Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Wait a minute. There is one other thing. John's scared. Wake him up.
John.
Wake me up for what?
To adjourn. Can you make a motion to adjourn, John?
Staying awake, Dennis.
I'm just kidding you, John.
We want to keep this up?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn is made and seconded. Motion is made and seconded. Okay, Dennis?
Yes.
Alan White?
It's adjourned.
John Scarron?
Yes.
Dave Williams?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Dr. Paquin? Bill Dunbar?
Yes.
Ed Clancy, yes. We are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you
night.
all.
Everybody stay well. Everybody stay well.
Okay.
You too.
Two.
Drive
Good
safely
night,
home.
everybody.
Okay, and we're,
Easter.
good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.